right, my name is Dr. Faith Nelson, and this is my daughter, Dr. Amory Wild. We are naturopathic doctors and master herbalists, and Amory is also a licensed massage therapist. We own Fidere in Idaho Falls, and we also own Fiducia. It's a tincture company that we started several years ago. And so those are our logos up here. If you forget, both of the names are Latin. I have no love with Latin. It's just, that's kind of how it came about. Fidere means faith, and Fiducia means like confidence to trust. And that's one thing that we work a lot with our clients, is that when they receive inspiration or promptings, that they have confidence. And boy, I might have to put on the microphone. They have confidence in themselves, and that what they're receiving for themselves is what they need. And so it's one thing that we work really hard with in our clinic. So I'm starting off with a question for you guys. Can someone be right and wrong at the same time? Of course. And if so, is that important or not? Let me show you a picture, okay? There is a fable, and an elephant walked by a village, and 7 blind men went out to see the elephant, right? And so one of the blind men was like, oh, it feels like a snake. Another one was like, it looks like a tree, it feels like a rope. All of these were right, and yet all of them were wrong at the same time, okay? Now with an elephant, I don't really know that it would matter, but your health, I would actually probably say, I think it does matter. When Amory and I went to school, they actually really impressed upon us that when we're looking at someone's health, you don't just look at pieces of it, but that you look at the body as a whole. What's going on? Why is that causing? Why is that happening? What is it doing to them? And it's actually really important because I've actually had different health issues, and it's kind of gone back to this elephant here, is that probably, I think it was like 12 years ago, I have been super stressed. There's a lot going on in my life, and I've been stressed for quite a few years. And so I went to a naturopathic person, and they're like, oh, you're pre-diabetic, which I was. And they didn't talk about some of the other things going on, which I'm going to talk to you about here in just a few minutes. And so because all they did was tell me to take out gluten and sugar, they didn't talk about stress, they didn't talk about my estrogen levels, they didn't talk about some other things were going to go on. It actually, I got better for a short time, and then I actually got sicker, to where I got really sick. And it got to the point to where it felt like bricks were in my stomach, and I had a hard time standing for long periods of time. And it was at that point that my daughter and I actually started microscopy, and we actually found cancer in my digestive tract. And so anyway, and we were going through school at the time as well, and so we took that knowledge that we had gained and started some different supplements, which is, I've done supplements for a while. Like I've been doing herb walks and things with my kids for probably 30 some years, but it's really when we started dialing in more on what was important and was going to help me. And so anyway, some of our products came from that time period. But I also want to tell you, there was a lady, because I just think this story hits home with what we're going to talk about, and I knew her family, and she had breast cancer. And she was paying a doctor, a Western medicine doctor, $10,000 out of Texas per week to take his supplements and do his, whole program. And I was talking with her daughter-in-law, and she was telling me some of the things she was doing, and then she told me that she was also taking estrogen and progesterone. Progesterone helps things to grow. Whether it's a baby or a tumor, doesn't really matter. It helps things to grow. So she was actually trying to kill the cancer and feed it at the same time. And so anyway, it did not end well, is all that I'll say. But it's one of the reasons why I feel like health and knowledge and truthful knowledge is so important. There's a lot of loud voices out there, And so a lot of people, when they come to me, every visit you come, you always have access to either Amory or I, not usually both of us, but one of us. And you're allowed to ask any question you want. You know, we set aside, a time. It's usually an hour. Sometimes it's only half an hour. But you can ask whatever questions you want, because I'd rather you have all your questions answered, every piece of knowledge you need or desire before you leave my office. And it's one of the things that we really try hard to do, is to answer people's questions and to even put out videos and just different pieces of knowledge so that people know what the truth is. Here's this poor lady is spending $10,000 a week and is also feeding her cancer. And I just thought, what doctor would ever think this was a good idea? So Amory and I decided today to talk about the endocrine system. And we decided to talk about this because 65% of Americans in their 30s are going on hormone replacement drugs. Estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and thyroid medicine. And it used to be people would start those things like later on in their 50s, 60s, things like that, right? And there's a lot of people out there pushing them, and I understand why they're pushing them. But naturally, once you go on a hormone replacement drug, your body stops making that hormone. And so the problem is that you can never go off of it. And so naturally, we're waiting to see where that shoe is going to drop and the health issues that come from it. And we're actually starting to see quite a few different things. So I'm going to talk on the women's, and then Amory's going to talk on the men, and then we'll come back together and we'll talk about how to fix it. So, okay, here's our first slide. And hopefully I'm short enough everyone can see around me. But estrogen is up here. Estrogen is a hormone, reproductive hormone. It produces eggs. Estrogen is really sticky, okay? Remember that, because we'll come back around to it. Over here is progesterone. Progesterone helps things to grow. Baby tumor, doesn't really matter. That's what it does. It helps things to grow in your body. Adrenals is down here. Hopefully everyone can see this. And adrenals help you to adapt. And anything more stressful than restful sleep is stress on the adrenals, okay? So adrenals are where like your fight or flight hormones come from, cortisol, things like that, okay? We go to this. Okay, so this is a scale that they show us in school. Here in the center is balance. Over here is your parasympathetic side of the scale, and over here is fight or flight. And in school, they would talk to us a lot about how people used to live at balanced. And so when you would go and be chased by a bear, you'd go over to fight or flight, and then you would come back to balance, right? And the problem is that most people today live in fight or flight, and they never come back to balance, which is really a problem, because true healing, you have to be at balance for true healing to take place, okay? So when people come in with like achy joints, poor digestion, memory issues, or even like critical thinking skills they're struggling with, we actually know that they're living over here in fight or flight. So something also important you should know, that when you're being chased by a bear, fight or flight, we're living in it, your body turns off everything that is not essential, which is why you have digestion issues, which is why you have memory issues, which is why you have aches and pains. Because if it's not essential for life, then it's just not, the life flow is not flowing to it. Cortisol is also in your adaptogens. It's a hormone in your adaptogens. You want to go back. And if someone comes in and they're like craving sugar, we know that they have high cortisol levels. Or if they're swelling, right now I'm really swollen. Imagine that, talking in front of you for several days has caused a lot of stress in my life. But anyway, it'll be fine. But anyway, it is cortisol that makes you swell. If you're a woman and you have irregular periods, or you don't sleep soundly at night, you wake up during the night, it's also another example of that your cortisol level is high, all right? And then your thyroid is over here. Your thyroid makes T3 and T4, okay? T3 turns on the mitochondria in your cell. It's your powerhouse. It's what gives you energy. Problem is that it makes T3 and T4. 80% of that is T4. T4 is actually inactive, okay? T4 and T3 actually go to your liver, and your liver is what actually activates the T4 by turning it into T3 and sending it out into your body. You're probably wondering why the liver is here in the center. The liver is actually really important in this whole process because everything from estrogen, progesterone, your thyroid, all gets sent to your liver to be activated and to be processed and sent out. Your adrenals, on the other hand, sorry, I'm right in the way, they actually sit right on top of your kidneys and they dump everything into the kidneys, okay? So these are your two main filter organs in your body. Now, I like to think of it as a car because I get my filter changed in my car. I actually do it all by myself. I don't do it, I drive to a machine place and they change it, but I do drive my car there. And I feel like every time I go to get my car filter or my oil changed in my car, they're always like, oh, look at this filter, you need to change it. And I'm like, I think I just changed it last month. And they're like, it needs it again. And sometimes my husband's like, you changed that last month, you don't need it again, you know, but anyway, our body isn't any different. Our liver is our main filter organ and our kidneys. And are we doing anything to clean them out? Are we helping them at all? Are we supporting them at all? Let me just give you a couple small facts on them. Your kidneys will actually pump 7 pints of blood through them every minute. 7 pints. I was blown away when I heard that. The liver is a little different. It only pumps 3.2 pints of blood through them every minute, but the liver also has 500 other functions that it does. So it's extremely important, okay? These are, like I said, your two main filter organs. They're really important to you. All right, so I like to show people this diagram, and then I'm gonna show you how they all work together. So estrogen and adrenals right here, they go everywhere together. So if one goes up, the other one goes up. If one goes down, the other one goes down. And your progesterone and your thyroid are no different. One goes up, the other one goes up, the one goes down, the other one goes down. Okay, and then, here you go. Okay, estrogen and progesterone, I think of them as, you want me to squat? I think of them as like a balancing scale. So if one is at, hopefully they're both at 50, okay? Think of like 100%. But if one is at 80, the other one's gonna be at 20, okay? And that is a big deal. It can cause a lot of issues. And it's the same thing here on the bottom with adrenals and your thyroid. And then one other thing, and I'll explain one way this all works together. So going crosswise, they don't like each other. They don't play nice together. And so your estrogen does not play nice with the thyroid, and vice versa, just like your progesterone does not play nice with your adrenals, and vice versa. Okay? So I want to give you guys an example. Let's think about this. Who in here has stress? Okay? I know, me too. Again, remember, swelling, that is me. So when we're stressed, it causes our adrenals to go up, which is going to cause our estrogen to go up. And estrogen is, do you guys remember what it is?
Sticky.
It's sticky, okay? Estrogen is sticky to the insulin receptors of your cells. So when you have increased estrogen, it sticks to the insulin receptors of your cells, causing insulin in your blood not to be absorbed into the cell itself, causing or can cause prediabetes and type 2 diabetes, okay? Do you see how this is all tying together in our body? The other thing estrogen does is when it's high, it's gonna do what to the thyroid? It's gonna push it down, right? Okay? Which causes low energy. Yeah, so when people like come in and they're like, oh, I have low energy, or, you know, like when I was sick, like the doctor should have been like, why in the heck is this woman, you know, pre-diabetic? He didn't talk to me about estrogen. He didn't talk to me about stress. He didn't talk to me about my thyroid. He just kind of told me, cut out gluten and processed sugar, you know? And so, and actually then it did make me really sick later on because we didn't address it as a whole. You can't come in and just address adrenals. We get a lot of people that come in and they're like, oh, I've been diagnosed with adrenal fatigue. I'm like, okay, well, that's great, but most likely you need some thyroid help, and you definitely need a liver cleanse, and I bet your estrogen is through the roof, like, and so that is a big problem. The other problem is when your thyroid is really low, this is another big problem. And we actually designed our pregnancy line for my daughter. My daughter had a child, and then she had 2 miscarriages, because what was low? Her progesterone was low and her thyroid was low, because her estrogen was really high. And her husband was starting a business and money was really tight. Anyway, we came up with our pregnancy line for her. And since then she has had a child, and then we changed it a little more, and then she had twins. And all my kids are like, what did you give her? Do not give that to me. Go back to the original one. So I don't know if it's a blessing. I do love the twins. They're like 3 months old. Love them to death, but they are so much work. So anyway, so it is a big deal, and it affects every aspect of your life. But I love that when I went to school, I learned this. This is right out of one of my textbooks, and I just thought, why does America not know this? Like, we need to know this. I show it to people. I don't care that, money, exactly. I don't care if everybody knows it and uses it. I would rather have everyone know this and understand it than to not, because it affects so many people, and you can't just fix one thing. You have to address the whole thing. I'll tell you just a couple reasons. I do get asked why your liver is sluggish, and there's several reasons why your liver and actually your other organs too get really sluggish. Toxins and stress are going to be your 2 main things. Toxins, I will tell you that cosmetics are the number 1 hormone disruptor out there. Hands down, every person will tell you who has gone to school knows that. I know, you're raising your eyebrows at me. I used to wear a lot more makeup than what I do now. So anyway, look into natural medicine or natural cosmetics. And it isn't just cosmetics, it's also hair and body care, okay? Number 1 hormone disruptor out there. The next thing is plastic. I do something called microscopy, and I'll show you guys it. Actually, we can just go there now. I think it's our next one. So do you see these little black lines? They look like spider webs in the background. That's it's in fibron lines is what it's called. I do what's called microscopy. I look at your blood under a microscope, and these are liver signs that your liver is sluggish. This person's also sick. These right here are echinocytes, and they're a virus that's been infected. There's some digestion issues, some stress issues, but anyway, when I look at people's blood, I can see plastic in your blood. Okay, I can see BPA toxicity. They actually I read this article, I thought it was hilarious, 37 testicles. Now, I thought they came in pairs, guys, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'll leave that out there. So anyway, every single testicle had plastic in it. And then they've also done a lot of where they've looked at cadavers, their brain, and there is plastic, on average, a half a teaspoon of plastic in everyone's brain that they looked at. And so anyway, plastics are a big deal. 5G, we won't talk about it a whole lot, everybody knows what it is. It is actually leaving debris in your blood. We can see when we do microscopy. And then food, I talk a lot about nutrition, and I talk about ultra-processed food. People don't really know what that is. If you're a vegan, please excuse my example here, but if you take a cow, you're gonna kill it, right? Maybe make ground beef or steak or something of it, and then you're gonna cook it. So that's essentially like 2 steps, right? And then you're eating it. I tell people if it's many more than 2 steps of processing away, it's ultra processed. And ultra processed food is changing your DNA. It is. It's scientific facts. Plenty of studies out there. Go look them up, or come and see me and I can tell you about them. And it's a very big concern. It is actually changing our DNA. It's actually ADHD is coming from. We're giving our children, Cheetos and all these different things, and we're causing them to not be able to focus in school. We're causing ADHD with our own children. And so I find it important to know. And then the last one I mentioned was stress. And it doesn't matter, we see it in your blood, whether it's environmental, physical, or emotional. we'll see it in your blood. Stress comes up and toxins. And sometimes when they're like, oh, I don't do this or I don't do that, I'm like, all right, what music are you listening to? What books are you reading? What are you watching on social media? I don't care, but if any of that's toxins, it's gonna show up in your blood as well. It is crazy, the blood does not lie. And okay, I'm gonna turn the time over to my daughter, and she's gonna talk about the men, and then I'll come back and talk about how we clean it up. Yep.
Alright, I'm also going to show you guys a diagram. Not that one yet, this one here. So at first glance, men look like they're a little bit more simpler because they just have that one main hormone. They just have testosterone, whereas women have two, but men are actually a lot more complex than women are, in a lot more ways than one. So when we look at this, we have our adrenals and our thyroid. They work the same in men as they do in women. So if your adrenals go up, your thyroid will go down. If your thyroid goes up, your adrenals will go down. So that there is the same. But what gets different is the testosterone. Doesn't matter how if this is level, your testosterone is fine. But if this goes out of balance, whether it's your adrenals that go up or your thyroid, your testosterone will actually go down and your estrogen will go up. Now, how is this possible? Because men don't have estrogen factories. They don't have ovaries. Well, your liver, because it does everything else, when you get stressed, your adrenals go up or your thyroid goes up, your liver makes a hormone called sex hormone binding globulin. When you are running from a bear, when you are stressed, you don't need to procreate. So sex hormone binding globulin attaches to your testosterone and it renders it inactive. And then it goes off to your fat cells because your fat cells are just storage plants. They're not really the bad guys. We could do a whole class on that, but for this we won't. They go off and they're stored in your fat cells. Then when your fat cells are getting full or you're no longer in fight or flight, your liver makes an enzyme called aromatase. And aromatase turns deactivated testosterone into estrogen and puts it back out into your bloodstream. So that's how men can become estrogen dominant or get too much estrogen in their body. Now, estrogen is just as sticky in men as it is in women, so it can cause prediabetes, diabetes type 2, but estrogen in men is actually very, very inflammatory. Testosterone is anti-inflammatory, whereas estrogen is exceptionally inflammatory in men. Another thing that people don't realize is it causes sleep disturbances, whether he's not sleeping through the night or he has a hard time going to sleep. That's often linked to low testosterone. And mood swings and mental health. They've actually done a lot of studies on men with anxiety, depression, and even suicidal, and every single one of them had low testosterone. 100% of the time they had low testosterone, which is very, very high numbers for any study. Another thing that a lot of people don't realize is when you are diagnosed with a thyroid issue, whether it's hypo or hyper, you are usually diagnosed with either prediabetes or diabetes type 2 within a short matter of time. But you're also diagnosed with high cholesterol. And why this is because when you have too much estrogen in your body tries to get rid of it. How does it get rid of it? Your liver turns it into cholesterol and it stores it in your body. So we're trying to get rid of all this cholesterol, we're giving you cholesterol medication, but really that's just going to cause you to be more stressed, it's giving you more chemicals, and you're going to make more estrogen and turn more estrogen into more cholesterol, which is why a lot of cholesterol medications don't really work for people. So going away from the men a little bit, we are going to talk about your kidneys. Your kidneys are really, really important. They're your main filters. We talk a lot about the liver in these scenarios, but it's really important to talk about your kidneys as well. Your kidneys have a lot of functions. Like my mom mentioned, your adrenals sit right on top of your kidneys. So when you get stressed, all of that cortisol can completely flood into your kidneys, which is a great system. If you're being chased by a bear, you want to be able to react very, very quickly. When you dump it into your kidneys, it goes directly into your blood system, which is incredible. But you don't always want to be pumping your kidneys full of cortisol because your kidneys do a lot. They pump 395 gallons of blood per day, which is a ton. And on an average day, without any of this cortisol, they use up 400 kcal per kilogram of energy, which is twice as much as your liver and twice as much as your brain. So you're wondering why you're tired and why you have decision fatigue and you can't make decisions and emotionally you just can't care at the end of the day. It's because you're pumping your kidneys full of adrenaline, and when that's happening, it goes from 400 kcal to 1600 kcal per kilogram, which is a ton of energy for your body to use up. And your kidneys are so important. They control your iron, your blood pressure. A lot of people, when you have a heart issue, they look at your heart and it's not even your heart, it's your kidneys. Your kidneys are the ones that make renin. Renin is what tells your heart rate to go up or to go down. But your kidneys also control your inflammation in your body and your sensation of pain. When you're being chased by a bear, you don't want to feel the pain. You don't want to feel the logs you tripped over until you come out of fight or flight, and then everything hurts. It's because your kidneys control whether or not you're in pain or not. They turn off that hormone or they turn it on. They also control swelling, they control digestion, they control the muscles in your body, they control your stomach acid, calcium, osteoporosis. If you are more stressed, you have a higher risk of osteoporosis because your kidneys, they need calcium, and if they can't get calcium from the food, they will leach it from your bones. And that is a really, really big problem in today's world, is it's not just women. It used to be a lot of women got osteoporosis, but a lot of men are getting osteoporosis as well. It's because you're leaching that calcium out of your bones instead of out of your intestines. So my mom is going to go over how we fix this once it gets all out of balance.
Brilliant, girl.
She could talk more in depth. I'm like, Amory, we got to bring it down a couple of steps. And she was like, but I want to sound like I know what I'm talking about. I'm like, you do, but not everybody understands what you're saying. So, all right. So how do we fix this? Okay. How do we help clean up the toxins? How do we help clean up your liver and your kidneys and get them working better? There's a couple things we're going to address today in this class and tell you about. The first one is cleansing. Naturally, we used to tell people, oh, take the toxins out of your life, do a cleanse, and you'll be great. About 15 years ago, that changed. And now we actually say, just due to the environment and the societies in which we live, you have to cleanse about twice a year to kind of clean up everything. We used to get asked a lot too what product brands we recommend. And it used to be we had other types of product brands that we used and recommended in our shop. And the problem with that is I do what's called microscopy, right? So microscopy is I take a drop of your blood, we stick it under a microscope, it comes up on a screen, not quite as big as this in my office, and you actually see your red blood cells, your white blood cells, you watch your blood move. And it is fabulous. It is probably the best diagnostic tool out there, because what I see in your blood, you're going to be, if you're not already feeling, you will be feeling in the next couple weeks, next couple months, given, hands down, because your blood is your river of life. It is like what is in you, and it's going to manifest outward. I love it also because I'll just give you an example. We had a lady come into our office, and she had medical blood testing done, labs done, and they said, oh, your thyroid is fine. This lady had narcolepsy so bad, she could only stay awake for about an hour, and then she'd have to go take a nap for a couple hours, and then she'd wake up for an hour, then she'd go back. And when we looked at her blood, thyroid kept coming up, and there's a couple other issues, but like thyroid came up in several places. Like we can see it in live blood and what's called dry blood. And I was like, and she's like, well, they told me my thyroid was fine. And I was like, your blood is telling you something else here. And so anyway, we have what's called Thyrenol, and it's for thyroid and adrenal, because you never just want to address one, you want to address them both. And so she's came in and had a couple other things done as well. And she was in here this last week, right? Week before, I think it was last week. And she had watched her grandson over Memorial Day weekend. And she was so excited. This was like such a big deal to her because she had never been able to watch him before because of the health issues she had. And she told us, I did have to take a nap the next day after he left. And she goes, but it was only one. And I was like, that is so awesome. You know, and that's what Lifeblood does. And so, like I said, I think it's amazing. In Utah, you're not really going to find it because those people who do it are not allowed to practice in Utah. So I actually have people from Utah, Wyoming, northern Idaho. We have people that come from Hawaii fly over and to see us for the two things that we're going to talk about, well, blood and for what my daughter does as well. So anyway, so I look at people's blood and I was using this other product and like I showed you the picture of the liver, like there's fibrin lines, you can see them. And normally when I do a liver cleanse, like it cleans them up. If you come back 6 weeks later, they'll be gone, right? That's what the point of a liver cleanse is. And people were coming back 6 weeks later. The fibrin lines were not gone. They were lessened a little, but like not like they were before, like they would be gone before. And so I started looking into the company and I found that the company had not sold, but they brought new leadership on board. And when I looked into that person, his former job was at a pharmaceutical company. And so then we looked at other companies to buy because it's easier to buy products and sell them than to make them yourself. And most of them that were previously recommended had been bought by big box companies or had new leadership come on board. And I was just like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. So I started bringing some products that I made. One was the liver cleanse, and I'll tell you how it developed. My daughter, if you can see her right eye, she was in a really bad accident. A stick went through it right before her 12th birthday. And by time she was 16, how many surgeries did you have? 15 surgeries. And every couple of months they were taking her in for more surgery to try to help her eye. And when she went to school, she came home that first semester in between and she got like really sick. I don't take my children to the doctors. Like my son's appendix was having issues and it was leaking out. He went to the doctors then because I knew what it was. And when he tore his meniscus, I took him to the doctors then. But you know, I usually do things, you know, because I know how to at my house. But she was so sick that I took her to the doctors, and they said she has really bad liver problems. And they ran tests and they're like, we can tell she's not an alcoholic and she's not on drugs, so I don't really know what's wrong with her liver. Sent her home, all right? And this was, how old are you, 25? So 27 years, or 7 years ago, right? Okay. And anyway, and so we then went to started school shortly after that, naturopathic school. And as we went back through, I just moved and I had all these files on my kids, like, you know, important documents to keep. And her stuff from the hospital was in there. And as we were looking through it, it said essentially that her liver was so bad that it wasn't even eligible for a liver transplant. It was so bad. And so anyway, but what we had done is when I brought her home, I took in my liver cleanse, I added some stuff to it, and she started on that regularly. And it's actually where our liver cleanse has came from. And we've actually had people come in with liver failure and use it and have great results with it. But that's one of the things that we do. I guess I didn't finish my, I did finish my story, right? Sorry, I stand up and my mind is going, and sometimes the mouth and brain don't work as well, the same speed. But a lot of our products, that's how they've been developed, is just through my family or from different people that have claimed into my clinic that like needed gallbladders. We had 2 people in 1 week that needed gallbladder help. So we went home, we studied some different things. You always know some of the basics, but then you go home and you're like, okay, what else does the gallbladder need? And that's what makes our products different. It's that I don't just look like, the parasite cleanse has been a really big deal here. Okay, parasites and bacteria are going to cause digestive issues. They just do. They cause it to be sluggish. And when you're doing a cleanse, it's really good to do digestive support. And so a lot of our tinctures, we look at what this causes in the body or what's causing it, and we try to put that support in there as well. So even if you choose not to do digestive support with a parasite cleanse, there is some digestive support in our parasite cleanse. Like our anxious list, when you have a lot of stress, you're using up your vitamin C like that. And so in our stress list, anxious formula, we put in vitamin C because your body needs it. And it's really what makes our formulas different. And so I brought some formulas into our office and I started having people try them. And I was looking at their blood. You know, it's usually 6 weeks later. Sometimes I'll go out in a month or two, just depending on what it is. And I found that the products we were making far succeeded even the ones previous. And so anyway, and that's kind of how our products really developed. It was just kind of not something I wanted to do or even planned to do in my life, but it was just a need that I saw. I'll tell you that tinctures, whether you put them in your mouth or put them in a smoothie or whatever and take them, they instantly start to work in your body. Herbs, they have to go through your digestive system to start to actually work. That's why we go with tinctures, is because as soon as you put it in your mouth, they start to go to work. Also, dried herbs, they lose their potency after 2 years. Tinctures, you could pass them to their grandchildren. I don't know that your grandchildren will want them, but they would still be as high a quality today as they are then. And so that's really why we went with tinctures instead of the other way. So this is our whole body cleanse. Our whole body cleanse is actually a lot of times what we recommend for the whole thing we showed you a little bit earlier, because it has a general cleanse, which is a blood cleanse. It cleans up plastic and toxins in your blood. I thought blood cleanse sounded kind of morbid, so we call it a general cleanse, but that is what that is. Then we have a large intestines and a small intestine cleanse. We have a kidney cleanse. Then we have a liver cleanse. And when you buy it, we tell you what order to use it in, because you kind of want to cleanse from the bottom up, ending with the liver. So when the liver is being cleansed, it can flow freely through your body without being clogged in the intestines. There's also heavy metal support in there that we recommend you take the whole time. Most of the cleanses you do about 2 weeks, except for the liver. We recommend that one for 4 weeks. And then there's also a lymphatic support in there, because as toxins are leaving your body, you're cleansing, right? We're getting rid of the toxins. Our lymphatic system is the last thing they go through. And if it's clogged, you're actually going to push those toxins back inside, which then it's pointless to cleanse. You're actually making yourself sicker. And so, so those are some things it comes with. It also comes with our methylated B vitamin. It's actually one of our best sellers, just because not everybody has MTHFR, but so many people have gluten intolerances today that their methylation process in their body is not working. And so when they take the methylated B vitamin, they feel fabulous, whether you have the MTHFR gene or not. You feel good taking ours, and it's all natural. Like if you look at it, we're talking like Bladder-Rack and Yellow Dock, and there's no synthetic. Everything is natural and organic. I can't tell you it's vegan, because I do put beef liver in a few things, and my B vitamin is one. And when my daughter's like, I think we should put beef liver in it, and I was like, disgusting. Who would ever take that in your mouth? And I don't even want to eat liver, you know? And she's like, no, I really think we should. So I'm like, well, let's make a small example and we'll try it, and nobody else is trying it in case it's gross. And so we made a small one, and it didn't taste bad. I was like, wow, this is actually really good. And because I am someone that has the MTHFR gene, it made me feel so much better. And normally, if I'm not super stressed, I don't have digestion issues like I used to have. And so it is an amazing product, and that comes with that. We have a C, which is also amazing, a D vitamin, a nutritive, which is like a herbal multivitamin. We do mineral salt in there. Am I missing any? I probably am. Oh, it also comes with, if you're local, you can come into our office and do a half an hour visit with us, just a health visit, kind of go over your symptoms, make sure you're taking it right. But if you're not, it can be it will be a phone. We can either do a Zoom or we can just talk on the phone. And anyway, it's our best seller. We sell this like left and right. I think we have like 8 left or something like that. After yesterday, we actually don't have that many left. And the other one that we have here that we're selling here is our hormone. And our hormone bundle is the liver cleanse, because that is important. And some people mix these two. They'll do like the whole body cleanse and then they do the thyrenal and the hormone support with it. But this one does have the thyrenal, so it works with your thyroid and adrenal. And then it has this hormone support, which depending on women, men, older, younger, we have some for women that are older, women that are younger, we have it for men. So that is different. It has nettle, because nettle is really great for everyone. And anyway, we actually sold quite a few of these too. I'm not sure how many we have left of these, but we will have a few left of these as well. But the other thing I want to do quickly, I have my daughter do, because I think we have like 10 or 15 minutes, she just gave me the thing, is she does what's called visceral and neural manipulation. And a lot of people don't know what it is. You want to grab a chair and call her up while I get this going? So I just wanted her to do an example of it. And so visceral